Derek.
Owes me $5.
I really do.
I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
Thanks, Jimmy. Just a few safety rules to go over before we get started. Rule number 1, if you have an emergency of any kind, whether it be a medical emergency, if you drop anything important off of the tram, or just have any sound or video issues, there is a cord running down the center of the tram. Pull it. I'll come back and help you out as soon as it's safe to do so. Rule number 2, please no smoking on the tram today. It's not safe. We feature several fire effects, loud noises, sudden tram movements, and if you're in a blue seat today, you're gonna get wet. That's every single one of you. And rule number 3, please stay seated in the tram at all times. Keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle. That's it for the safety rules. We are now making our way down the timeline. We're going to enter the heart of the movie studio, where some of Hollywood's biggest actors come to work every single day. I told you we celebrated our 100th anniversary back in 2012. I'm going to show you that logo again because we released this logo in celebrations. If you look on either side of you, you'll see this timeline. We also released 100 greatest movies of all time. And if you'll look up at the top of these posters, you can see the different logos and how they've changed throughout the years. Speaking of great movies, I want to show you all a clip from an old black and white movie. It's one of my favorite movies. See if you can guess what it is.
I have the room ready for you and Mrs. Barrington.
Thank you, Walker.
Did you hear that? Mrs. Barrington.
Not quite, darling, but soon. Very, very soon. Bellhop,
Yes?
have a bottle of champagne sent to the room at once. And make sure that we are not disturbed for any reason.
Okay, I played a little bit of a trick on you. That's not an old black and white film. That's just my own co-host Jimmy Fallon showing us the inside of a soundstage coming up on our front lot. He shot this on the inside of soundstage number 20. We have 35 sound stages here at Universal. And what about what they look like from the outside? Well, the first one's coming up on your left-hand side. This is soundstage number 12. It's currently home to The Voice, starring CeeLo Green, Blake Shelton, Adam Levine, and Christina Aguilera. If you take a look over here on the left, you can see the logo from the film. But over the years, some awesome movies like these filmed right inside of there. Like Frankenstein's Lab, Dracula's Castle,
Right.
Al Pacino's Mansion and Scarface, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Couples Retreat. They all shot right there on soundstage number 12. It's also one of the biggest in the world. You can see what it looks like on your screen. Now that's the biggest soundstage on our lot. What about the busiest sound stages here at Universal? Well, starting on your left-hand side, this soundstage is soundstage number 25. It's currently home to CSI, Crime Scene Investigation. This stars Ted Danson and Elizabeth Shue. CSI not only films at soundstage 25, but 24, 23, and 22 are all home to the production. As we pass by here over here on your left, you're going to see these big elephant doors. Well, they're closed, because these are called closed sets, meaning only the immediate cast and crew and invited guests are allowed inside. Over here on your left, Go On, starring Matthew Perry, currently films. The Mindy Project, starring Miss Mindy Kaling, and Chelsea Lately just joined our lot a few months ago. She films on soundstage number 1 over on the left. I showed you the biggest soundstage and the busiest, but what about the oldest soundstage? That's right here on the right-hand side. This is soundstage number 28. And it was built in 1925 for the Phantom of the Opera, starring Lon Chaney, the man of 1,000 faces. Throughout the years, many creepy horror films like The Bride of Frankenstein, Mama from Psycho, bigger productions like Jurassic Park and The Grinch have filmed here. But it's the only soundstage on our lot that's believed to be haunted, and mysterious figure roams the catwalks at night, so we get kind of scared of that. So let's head on over to our left-hand side. This is soundstage number 27. Most recently was used in Snow White and the Huntsman, starring Charlize Theron and Kristen Stewart. It was home to Mission Control for Apollo 13, directed by Ron Howard, and is the only soundstage in our lot with a water pit built inside. The original shark for Jaws was tested in there in the 1970s. Universal Studios is not just Universal Studios. We are part of NBC Universal, one of the largest media powerhouses on the planet. It only consists of Universal Studios, but many of your favorite television networks like NBC, E, Sci-Fi, USA, Bravo, Telemundo, the Golf Channel, CNBC, MSNBC, the Weather Channel, Oxygen, and NBC Sports, just to name a few. Coming up on your right-hand side, we're passing stage 41. It's currently home to Guys with Kids, starring Anthony Anderson, co-produced by my co-host Jimmy Fallon. We also have the Minions from Illumination Entertainment. We'll talk about them in just a second. And right here on your right-hand side, this is stage 44. It's currently home to Parenthood, starring Lauren Graham and Craig T. Nelson. It was also home to Sabrina the Teenage Witch in the late 90s and early 2000s. But throughout the years, many of your favorite television shows like these have all filmed here at Universal. It all started back with the 1939 New York World's Fair when we made our first television broadcast. Television shows take about a week to complete, starting with the first rehearsal to the final taping, while movies are another story. They take months, sometimes years to complete and involve several hundreds of people, and they all get started over here on the left-hand side. These bungalows used to be dressing rooms for some of the biggest stars of their day, like Doris Day, Jimmy Stewart, the Duke himself, John Wayne, but now they're pre-production offices for some of the biggest filmmakers in Hollywood. Here they do their writing, their casting, they decide where they want to shoot on location. Look, we have our very first celebrity coming up on our left-hand side. Get your cameras out. It's none other than Mr. Potato Head. He's right outside of Hasbro Entertainment. They are headquartered right here. They brought you a live-action version of Battleship last summer. And next door to them, you see that familiar logo, that white awning? That was Alfred Hitchcock's bungalow, the director of such movies like Psycho, Rear Window, Vertigo, and The Birds. Here to tell you more about Mr. Hitchcock's presence on the lot are some famous faces. Take a look.
Lou said he could move into that office. I said, no, I can never be in Hitchcock's office. That should be a shrine, a museum.
Very exciting, just to know that he was there and walk by and know he was in that office.
Hitchcock has influenced every director. I saw Hitchcock once, walking around the commissary.
Hitchcock had his bungalow on the lot. I used to go see Alfred Hitchcock.
I loved working with him. I highly respect him.
He really understood fear and terror.
The Birds? That was a really scary movie.
The Birds? Oh, man. That had me looking at crows like for the next 10 years.
Psycho, of course. Vertigo was one of the all-time great masterpieces. Hitchcock was master.
Mr. Hitchcock would be no stranger to the next section of our tour, because we are now entering the back lot, where we film all of the big stuff. Exterior scenes on a large scale. What here looks like stone and brick is just made out of a little bit of styrofoam, wood, some fiberglass, and these are called facades. Here on our brownstone street on the right-hand side, you may notice this from movies like Bruce Almighty. You can take a look here.
Grace, the dog!
I'm in the shower!
Brr. Inside bad, outside good. Inside bad, outside good.
Oh, you're done now. Great.
B-E-A-beautiful.
It wasn't so beautiful because that dog had to wait over 4 months to go to the bathroom. They shot the exterior scene right here, and the interior shot was done on the soundstage on the front lot, about 4 months apart from each other. The magic of Hollywood. If you are a Back to the Future fan, though, you better get your cameras ready, because we are now in Courthouse Square, or you may notice this as Hill Valley from the Back to the Future series, starring Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. On your right-hand side, that was the soda shop in the movie. It's now dressed a little bit different as a gas station. And where was that clock tower struck by lightning? It was right there on the left. The clock tower is not there, but take a look as director Bob Gale and Christopher Lloyd tell us a little more.
It was actually the back lot of the Courthouse Square that inspired the entire climax to Back to the Future.
I had scenes up in the clock tower on that ledge. It was a ledge about that wide. And I was standing inside looking at the ledge, and I already had vertigo. I just thought there's no way in the world, no way I'm going to stand on that. I was up there for quite a while. Of course, I had a cable.
When Michael J. Fox was playing Marty McFly in the Back to the Future series, he was also filming Family Ties at Paramount Studios in Hollywood at the same time. So every day throughout production, he would have to rush from Paramount here to Universal, and he would shoot his scenes at night. He said he only got about 3 hours of sleep throughout the whole production. Speaking of no sleep, let's head to the next section of our Metro sets. It's the city that never sleeps. Take it away, Jimmy.
Hey everyone, welcome to New York.
I got my start right here in New York on Saturday Night Live. This is actually my old neighborhood. Once got mugged over there. An old woman. Tough lady. This is my favorite hot dog guy. Hey, buddy. How's it going? Remember me? No. Just like old times. Gotta love New York City. Hey! I'm walking here! I'm walking here! Hey, it's cool, guys. I was just walking there. So it's not exactly New York, but a lot of times when you see New York in the movies, it was shot right here on the Universal Metro sets. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Even if you make it here on the Universal lot.
That's right, Jimmy, because our New York City sets are filled with its own Broadway theaters, even its own Macy's is here. It's like 34th Street came right here to sunny Southern California. Most recently, The Amazing Spider-Man, starring Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, filmed here. Episodes of NCIS, Transformers has filmed here. Lots of great stuff. In 2008, Steven Spielberg himself came in and renovated these Metro sets. He got the blueprints, and he wanted to make them even bigger and better than they ever were. The first thing he did was increase the buildings from 30 feet tall to 50 feet tall to get a better illusion that you're in New York City. And he also wanted to make them more HD friendly, so there's a lot more detail on those facades than there used to be. Steven Spielberg's a notable director that we'll talk about a lot on this tour, but another Academy Award winning director. To tell us about the next section coming up, Mr. Peter Jackson.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up in adventure. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island, and it was great to have you along for the ride. Now we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, but just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Skull Island.
Nobody's lived here for hundreds of years.
So sure.
这是得再戴3D 眼镜。
What the hell? Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for King Kong 360 3D. The most exciting 3D experience on the planet. Now hang on to your 3D glasses, you won't need them for the rest of the tour, but you'll have a chance to throw them away later on. King Kong 360 3D was brought to you not only by Peter Jackson, but the creators at Weta Digital. Weta Digital has won 5 Academy Awards. It has worked not only on King Kong, but the Lord of the Rings trilogy and Avatar. That took almost an entire production team that it takes to film a 3.5-hour long movie with its one continuous shot. The screens inside of that soundstage are 180 feet long, 40 feet tall, and 360 degrees all the way around.
With a project like the studio tour, the audience is in the middle of the environment. They're looking in all directions, there's creatures coming at them, they're seeing Kong from this side and T-Rexes from the other side.
Working on a movie, they're looking straight ahead, they're looking at the shot that we're working on.
Here you have to take into account that people are looking in all directions.
Also, one of the things about this ride, unlike the movies that we're used to working on, there's no cuts, because it's one giant shot. This tram that's driving along through Skull Island is where the camera's from. This ring represents where the screen is 10 meters away.
We're really creating about 50 minutes of a feature film. That amount of visual information, that number of pixels, and presenting them to the audience, it's a hell of a ride.
Speaking of heck of a ride, what about those rides you see in movies, huh? Well, they are called picture cars. A picture car is any car that you see on screen or is driven by an actor. Get your cameras ready, because you're about to see some of the most famous Universal picture cars seen on screen. Look out! Some of these cars went on to be just as famous as the actors driving them, as you can see. Alright, and here we go. We have the Deathmobile from Animal House. Really cool car. These are all real working cars with the exception of the mule from Serenity. I'll talk about that in a second. But you can't forget the DeLorean from Back to the Future, one of the most famous picture cars in any movie history ever. Now that mule from Serenity is just made out of wood and styrofoam, and how do we make that fly? And how did these cars from Fast and the Furious always crash and dive? Well, with the help of some CGI, or computer-generated imagery, and motion control technology, computers can make these cars dip, dive, crash, fly, however they need to by putting a green screen up. Take a look at your screens from pre-production from the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. You can see how they're preparing this ahead of time, and we're going to head inside of sound effects stage number 55. We're going to give you a better demonstration on this motion control technology. My technical director Mike is here. I'm going to get the go-ahead. Check it out. Hey Mike, we're here and ready when you are.
Clear on the set.
All clear.
Let's see the bullet hits. And go! Whoa. Go!
Fast and the Furious. Ja Rule, one dance.
Okay. This one's for real, guys, so walk out. And action!
And Karma, ladies and gentlemen, great examples of motion control technology. Hey girls, take a bow. Good job. Hey, how about you show them that move we worked on last night? Go ahead. You can see with this motion control technology, there are gimbals underneath this car. They're more like robotic arms that move this car around the same every time, so they never vary by an inch. The director has the scene the same every single time. They can shoot it over and over, and they're removed later on in post-production, so you don't see them in the movie. And then they put a green screen behind it for that computer-generated imagery to add on the rest of that city later on. All right, ladies, have a great afternoon.